welcome to another episode of the Suzie Wokabi podcast. Today I have a very, very incredible, very inspirational guest who I literally completely look up to. The most beautiful ambassador that is in the world. Balozi Mwende Mwinzi. She is the Kenyan ambassador to South Korea. And she is here with me. She has graced me with her presence today. So, you guys, I'm so jealous of you. Please enjoy our conversation. Let's go. Hello, darling.
Hi, Suzie.
How are you?
I'm good. So wonderful to be here.
It's so great to be here.
It's only taken how many years for us to
get
do some work together?
So, we were in New York at the same time.
Correct.
For a bunch of years.
Yes.
Tell them, I want them to know you from before, now, and the future. So, born and raised.
Born in the States, raised in Kenya since I was 16 months old.
Okay.
So I came to Kenya as a baby.
Do you mind if I take this off?
No, actually,
we've been social distance. We've done all the good things, I promise.
So I was raised in Kitui.
Okay.
Like I said,
went to school there.
Did my in and out of Kitui, because Kitui in 1971, 1972 when my parents came here, didn't really have too much in terms of education. But certainly, I did nursery school in Kitui.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Then I went to Mombasa. My parents sent me to prep school. That didn't work because I was 4 years old, away from my parents. So they brought me back to Kitui.
Wait, that was boarding school.
It was a boarding school, yes.
Yeah,
it was a boarding school. I know. As a mother now, I can't imagine it, but they were doing the best that they could.
Yeah.
So then I came back to Kitui. I did primary school in Kitui, and then that was at Central Primary School, and then from Form 1 to Form 4 I was in Kenya High.
I just heard you speak the most perfect
Kikamba. Yes, but I'm a Kamba.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody gets thrown off by the skin and the hair and it's a distraction that I think is misplaced, because look at you, Kenyans are in all shades and hues.
Exactly, and do you love the what are you question?
There's lots of questions. I get them wherever I go. Because if you're if it's outside.
And when you're in New York, you're probably like Latina.
They think I'm Dominican.
Yeah, me too. It was Dominican. It was Brazilian.
Yes. Yes. But I'm a Kenyan culturally. My heart is Kenyan.
I know.
So I went to the States only for university, and that's first I was in Arizona.
So where were you in high school?
High school, I was in Kenya High.
Oh.
Yeah, and then after Kenya High, I went to Kieni, which is in Mwende, which is in Embu.
Embu, I know.
Right?
I know this.
Correct.
I have a Meru background.
That's true. That's true from your mother's side. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then eventually I found my way to the States. So that's where I got married. That's where I had my children. That's where we met. We've known each other.
Was it always just New York?
No. I started off in Arizona. Then I went to California, and then I went LA. and then I went to New Jersey, and then I moved to New York.
Nice.
So that's really where
So what was your career path after college?
Initially, it was actually broadcasting. I mean, everybody starts at the bottom. So my first real job was, in fact, in a bank. Yeah, in a bank fulfillment center.
Okay.
Credit card, Bank of America.
Okay.
And then I moved from there into a broadcast. I was the executive assistant to the director. And then from there, I moved to working at a TV station in sales. And then, yeah, I know. And then when I moved to New York, I also did sales, but for a postal company. And
This is all a bit schizophrenic.
yeah, and and by the way, there's also numbers here. Sales. I mean, you have to.
Oh my
No
gosh.
numbers, but yet I'm not really a numbers person. That's the irony of it all.
But then you obviously have the gift of the gab, and that's what a salesperson needs.
Well, no, it wasn't sales as in selling. No, it was like broadcast spots and stuff like that, and numbers from the actual sellers, numbers from the, and the other one was actually, I'm calling it sales, but it was pricing analyst.
Okay.
So it wasn't.
You're not sitting.
No.
You're not.
I'm actually no. I'm
not.
No, that I would have failed at.
My first job out of college, I was a headhunter.
Why? Interesting.
And so it's cold calling
Right.
companies to look for jobs for IT professionals.
Yes. Interesting.
This doesn't make any sense. Yeah, anyway.
Interesting. Yeah.
Back to you.
But it talks about versatility.
I guess, right?
Yeah. Talks about
And just also knowing what you actually like. Not what you're good at. I actually quite excelled there, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, so moved on. Yeah.
And I think it's so important, especially as we age. First of all, canvass the field. Find out what you do like and what you don't like.
Absolutely.
And then from there, narrow it down to what you feel passionate about.
Exactly.
In my view, a job should not be going to work.
No.
It shouldn't be arduous. It shouldn't be tedious.
Oh, no.
You should love what you do.
And I keep saying the cliches are all right. Like, you will never work another day in your life if you love what you do.
It's true. But it actually is true.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, I'm in Kenya as we're recording this.
Yes.
I came here just on what was supposed to be a short personal leave. I've worked just as much as I was seated in the office, and yet I have no complaints.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my work. I love my job, so to speak.
Yes.
And it's merely, and I mean, I might happen to have a title right now, but the truth is, I've been a walking, talking ambassador for Kenya for as long.
You really have.
For as long as I can.
Before we even get to your current position, I want to touch on Twana Twitu.
Yes.
Please talk about that. Where it started and where it is now.
So Twana Twitu started as an accident. I mean, I would like to take credit for being this, kind-hearted, philanthropic person, but that would be a mischaracterization of the truth. Twana Twitu simply started because I came here with my then 1-year-old, and HIV was at an all-time peak. People were dropping dead like flies. Nobody really wanted to talk about what was killing them. There were all these tag names for HIV, and the characteristic thing was you would see died after a long illness. This ambiguous long illness.
Or it's like pneumonia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So essentially, I started realizing that, oh gosh, this is an issue. And I had a 1-year-old. In fact, I came to Kenya for my 1-year-old's birthday. And then I thought, gosh, if anyone can get it, anybody can get this.
Of course.
If I got this, what would happen to my 1-year-old? I would want somebody, I would not want him to be institutionalized. And at the time, there are a lot, just that there are today, but lesser in number, all these children's homes. Institutionalizing children, which is necessary in some cases, but it's not really the preferred.
No.
Particularly when you've got extended family that is happy to take on the role of fostering.
Absolutely.
So I said to my dad at the time, I said, we were in the village, and I said, let's do this. Let me just help out some 1 or 2 families and just give them food. Well, one of the ladies, one of my grandmothers, so to speak, showed up, and she had, I think it was 6. She had 6 grandchildren that she was taking care of that had been orphaned. So imagine your mother too. Imagine a woman in her 70s caring for 6 young children, some of whom probably needed to be breastfed. This is a woman in the village who doesn't have the money. And that was when the reality hit me that there was a brewing crisis and I needed to do something. So I returned to the States determined to just help out in my own little way, and then 9/11 hit, literally just a few months after. My son was, his birthday is in June, 9/11 was in September.
Mm-hmm.
And I was caught up, I don't know if you remember this, but I was across the building.
Were you?
Because I used to work in World Financial Center. I used to work in 2 World Financial Center.
I just watched it from my
Yeah.
my apartment in Jersey City.
Horrific. So I had to walk through the train center to get to my office. And when so that day the trains were running late, which was why I was not at work, but I was trying to get to work. And then of course planes had hit by then. When the building came down, I was by Century 21. So I was buried under debris and I was expecting my second child at that time.
Stop it.
And nobody knew that. Nobody at work knew it. So Jaden actually his name means God has heard, and it was because when I thought it was actually you don't know what death feels like.
Yeah.
So I remember when the jets were flying, I thought, oh my God, they're going to come and finish us off now. They're going to come and bomb us because we didn't know what was happening. And anyway, so fast forward, obviously I did not die. God did hear my prayer.
Clearly.
And I decided, I need to do something really meaningful, that God saved my life for a purpose. And that is when, Tuana Tuitu was formally, maybe informally, because I started doing something. People would come, I'd shake their pockets, oh, I've got some kids to feed, I've got some mouths to feed, I've got some school fees to pay.
Yeah.
Kind of got to a point where nobody really wanted to come to visit anymore.
You're like,
hi. They'd come to have dinner and a glass of wine, and I know the sob story. But by God's grace, we've been able to support and educate thousands of kids.
And still happening.
It's still happening, but totally scaled back. I mean, it gets to a point where look, Mez is turning 21 in June.
Oh my God.
After a point, I started feeling that there was a lot, people were not learning to fish. They were not.
Give a man a fish.
And we tried to do that. We had income generating activities. We would train people to sew. We would provide everything, and then next thing you know, the classroom.
He wants a fish.
The classroom is empty. Where are these people? You're providing them materials. You're providing them space. You're not charging them anything. This is supposed to kick off their business.
Oh no.
So it kind of became on my end even demoralizing. And then in 2017, people, this is now where our system goes wrong. We tend to think if somebody's doing something, they're doing it for a reason. They want something from it. They've got an agenda. In this case, when I threw my hat in the political ring, people just suddenly, on the political side, started politicizing an organization that had nothing, that had been insulated from politics, since its onset. So it became a little murky. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to transform it from an entity that cares and takes care of children one-on-one on a regular basis and had moved to the community level to doing something that is less emotionally taxing. I want to build a recreational center, a library in Miwani, where I come from. There's no library. Let people come in there and have a computer center. They can do their research. They can learn. During the holidays, children can come and...
And your county is growing by leaps and bounds.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Kitui County, I was in Mwingi town the other day, and Mwingi is a town that is continuously growing. Now, Minwan in my town has not really expanded very much since I was a child, but that doesn't mean that it can't grow in other ways.
Sure.
I mean, even when I look at just housing, when I look at the number of nice homes that have come up, it says that our area has potential if only we harness it.
Exactly. So speaking of you venturing into the political world, why did you decide that? How did you decide? Like, what happened?
I've always been political.
Okay.
I'm not a politician, but I'm political.
Okay.
And I believe
you have interest?
Listen, politics is what we do. Politics and policy is what defines our existence. If
Life, I guess.
if
Yeah.
our government has bad policies that are being implemented, if it has bad politicians in
Everyone's
leadership,
affected.
then it affects all of us.
Yeah, sure.
So even things like running an organization like Don't Let You Do, it will affect all of us.
Okay. Got it.
So for me, it was an opportunity to drive change, and to offer my people good leadership, because we've not always had good leaders, and that's not limited to just my area. That's countrywide.
Yeah.
But it was
Worldwide?
It is worldwide. It is worldwide. And don't get me even talking about America in the past 2 years. Goodness, let's avoid that.
Oh, I love
Yeah. But it wasn't the first time that I was involved in politics. Okay. So again, it's driven from the need to be a part of change. Number one, I believe in Mahatma Gandhi's. Be a part of the change you want to see.
Sure.
Instead of sitting on the sidelines and perpetually complaining, that doesn't get us anywhere. And number two, I believe from fighting from within. Fight from within.
Lose the fight if you need to, but
That's
at
it.
least you fought that fight.
Yeah, that's it.
Completely agreed. And congratulations on your spot. I think it's super. It's been 2 months or so. What's it been?
Actually, it's been 5 months.
5 months.
Time
And
flies.
I'm sure you'll do an amazing
Time
job.
flies.
And then the country that you live in. Can we talk about that?
Korea is first of all, let me start by saying I thank His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta for the faith and the confidence that he put in me.
And I thank him also.
Yes, and importantly for deploying me to a station that for a while had not, that is appropriate for me. Let's put it that way. South Korea is a fascinating country. And it has a lot that Kenya can gain from, and vice versa, if only we pursue it. Okay? So what people may not know is our diplomatic relationships go all the way back to literally a few months after independence. Yeah, we gained independence in December of '63. Our diplomatic relationship started in February of '64. Our relationship runs deep, and it has longevity. But somewhere, the Korean story has not been told.
It really has.
Yeah, and the Kenyan-Korean story has not been told. So for me,
that's why you're here.
Yes. So for me, it's a blank canvas. It's a very exciting station because the amount of goodwill that Kenya has from Korea is huge. Yeah, it's something that we need to just have a little more. As we're speaking, I don't know if you saw it in the papers this week, but Kenya, we're in the process of, thanks to the Korean side, we will be the only country out of Korea that has a school of excellence focused on science and technology. If you know nothing about Korea, you know the fact that Korea was a war-torn country. It emerged from war. The Americans, as a matter of fact, helped kind of create Korea. But the emphasis was on education and science and technology, because Korea is not an agricultural country. All it really has is its human capital. So the emphasis was on investing in this human capital and focusing on the sciences and technologies, which has now resulted in the Samsungs. The first CEO and founder of Samsung is a KAIST alumni.
Wow.
Etc., etc., etc. So here we are the Silicon Savannah,
Nation.
right? and we're borrowing a leaf from that KAIST, trying to replicate it, but domesticate it so that it's customized to our needs. And whereas
localized.
Exactly. So whereas the original KAIST has relationships with over 200, and I think it's 64 universities globally, Kenya will be the first country outside of Korea to have an actual case. The K in this case being Kenya. Yeah. So it's a point of pride for us, and it's just one of the many things. It's going to be in Konza. There's going to be a smart vaccine facility, a digital media facility, so we can develop local content. Korea is doing a lot, and I won't even venture into the endless, countless scholarships that they give us, both people at the advanced level of government and also students. You know, we've got, I think right now it's about 250 Kenyan students who are given scholarships through the government and through independent universities. So the relationship is just not talked about.
I love that.
Instead,
much.
instead when we think of Asia, we think of other Asian countries.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Probably you can't even distinguish, your average Kenyan can't distinguish a Korean from a
Chinese person or a Japanese person or a Malaysian person. Yeah, it's crazy.
Right.
Okay, when I was developing my brand, Suzie Beauty, one of the countries that kept coming up into, you know, contract manufacturing, product, and that was Korea. Never quite ventured there for whatever. I guess the others got me before. I got there, and I'm still coming to visit you and Daisy.
Please do. I'm holding you to
cat.
it. Our cat is holding you to it.
But there is a booming manufacturing situation, obviously. Not just in beauty, but in many, many other things.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, of course, you know, beauty is my life, and that I hold that close.
Yeah.
And we were talking before, and there's a lot of brands coming up locally, continent-wide, and I think that would be a great place to start or to look to.
Well, you know, you hear about it, and it's different when you hear about it until you see it.
Mm-hmm.
The Koreans are so health conscious.
Yes.
Yeah, and they are beauty conscious. And they take care of themselves in a very holistic way.
Like, who does your nails? Like, it's always, like, in New York, like, whatever, right? It's always, like, Korea.
Oh, my Eunice.
Nails and eyelashes and...
Eunice, my nail lady in New York, and her entire shop are Koreans.
Yeah.
You know?
And all the movies you watch, it is Korean.
Correct. So the government has invested a lot of money and just resources in general to building the medical industry. You know, from biopharma to the cosmetic industry.
Yeah.
AstraZeneca, in fact, just pumped in several billions. So in addition to AstraZeneca being made in India, it's being manufactured in Korea. As a matter of fact, by the way, their self-sufficiency on vaccines is 61%. 61% self-sufficiency. And I believe that if we look at the just the big four, yeah, where you've got among the other two, you've got manufacturing, mm-hmm. and you've got healthcare. Mm-hmm. If we draw from the Korean model, where there's a synergy between the two, number one, we'll be able to boost manufacturing here. Number two, we'll be able to create employment for all our youth who need jobs. Number three, we'll be able to reduce the cost of drugs and everything. We can push out into the broader markets, not just the East Africa community, but Africa in general. We are so well situated to do it. And as relates to cosmetics, because that's your forte,
yeah.
You know, I think it was in 2017, the exports alone surged by 27%. So whereas Kenyans aren't quite looking to Korea for this, this is an opportunity that exists, that should be pursued.
Yeah.
We have a growing middle class. The middle class has a little more disposable income to spend on some cosmetics.
The growing middle class is not a farce, and it's not a myth anymore.
Yeah.
It exists.
It does exist.
Yeah.
It does exist. Just
mm-hmm.
look at the road network. It's fantastic. I've driven from the coast. I was in Kitui the other day. We can make day trips. You can go and spend
back.
Hours and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And still make it before curfew.
Yes.
So
and I love that. I love that you're saying this for somebody who is very well-traveled and like, well-versed in the international world, that you can appreciate this.
Suzie, listen, even the blind can see. It's not being it's not being made up. The road either is there or the road isn't there.
Right.
We may be somewhat inconvenienced. I know there's a lot of discussion about, the level of debt, but these are capital intensive projects.
They are.
Which themselves will translate into...
It will pay off.
Exactly. So when it comes to going back to cosmetics and manufacturing and, biopharma and the likes, Kenya has a lot that it can take from Korea. The opportunities, as I see it here, are endless. We have we have a solid base for manufacturing, at least even if it's contract manufacturing, not just of cosmetic, but in pharma, that needs to be encouraged and supported from my view. You may wish to know that literally 80% of all the pharmaceuticals that are sold in Korea, all the pharmaceuticals, and by the way, population-wise, we're very similar.
Oh, okay.
Over 80% are manufactured locally. Kenyans have that capacity.
So, I keep talking about, first of all, the median age in Kenya is like 19.7 years old. I think, when I look at the positives that COVID could have given us, is we do have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
And so I think, and also during this time that we've been, forced to be at home and think about things, I feel like there's going to be all sorts of amazing ideas that pop up. And then this is such a good outlet.
What do they say? They say desperate times.
Call for desperate
yeah.
measures. Yeah.
So people have been forced to get creative.
Yes.
But I think importantly, forget all the ugly and maybe fabricated stories that have surrounded the COVID pandemic. We tend to forget that when we started, we had I think it was like 8 ICU beds countrywide.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We had the capacity, but we had no real oxygen. Yeah? Then globally, we came into a situation where we had, we're competing with the rest of the world for very, very limited items. Everyone was scrambling for PPEs. Masks. Everybody was scrambling for masks. Sanitizers. We're not a region that had, unlike say Asia, which had experiences with SARS. So right. It's a culture that wears masks.
They would wear masks
all the time.
10 years ago.
Correct. We don't do that. So it was a very alien concept. But as we started scrambling for these items, the rest of the world was doing the same thing. Ventilators that were cheap, the same exact ventilator. It quadrupled in price. So it's not like this government was actually paying an inflated price. It was paying market value at the time. But what the Ministry of Health did was it said, along with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, let's look inward. We have an EPZ that is capable of manufacturing masks, of manufacturing PPEs. So I think it was the Ministry of Health that then banned the importation of masks.
Because it's all possible here.
And we've done
and
it.
And then all these fashion companies come up with the beautiful
and
ones.
We've done it. We've got African print, Kenyan
yes.
print.
Yeah.
We now have the flag, the
flag
Kenyan flag on
exactly.
them. I've ordered several and taken them back and giving them away as
I
gifts.
actually only buy local fashion company masks.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And number one, it gives you the protection you need.
Yes.
Number two,
they have standards to
correct.
go with.
KEBS. I mean, everything has been very well regulated.
Nice. I love everything about KEBS strictness.
Very regulated. And fact, even in Kitui, by the way. Even in Kitui, they opened up a little factory that was making masks.
Awesome.
So we can do it. And what does this do? This provides employment.
Of course.
Somebody who could pay school fees before now can pay school fees.
Yeah.
So we've been taught we can look inward and we can actually thrive. We can succeed. So in this period, because number one, we don't know how long COVID will last, I think for those that have an entrepreneurial spirit and those that are interested in the cosmetic industry, like you, I mean, you came up with an idea.
Yeah.
In fact, I would love to hear your story.
I still have more ideas.
Okay, and then you created. I remember when I first heard, oh, Suzie has a makeup line. I thought, what? And I mean, look at what you've done with this.
Yeah.
You know, it should inspire so many of the people that are watching this.
But it also does, because a lot have come up after,
Yeah.
and that gives me life.
Yes. My niece Tony, who's 20 years old, is following your footsteps. She's
Awesome.
started a makeup line. She's doing, she's got different palettes
I
of
love it.
eyeshadow.
So I've mentored a few young, down to the age of 10, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and they've actually launched something into the market.
Yeah. It's not impossible.
I could not be happier.
When I was a child, I had a little plaque on my wall that said, "You've got to have a dream to make it come true." And it's so true. So when young girls, either through your mentorship or just hearing about what you've done, come up with this dream, they can make it come true.
Absolutely.
And part of how that dream can come true is if those of us in government do what we are supposed to do to create an enabling environment.
That's exactly right, and so amazing. And that's why I called you my inspiration, because, you're outside of, I consider you a big sister and somebody I completely look up to, but your leaps and bounds inside of, your life, and then trying to make things easier for the rest of us is amazing.
Thank you. I'm really flattered, but the truth is, you actually started a company from scratch. I'm not so sure that's something that I would ever be able to do and make a success of it nonetheless.
I've been called a psychopath of each
you've done an amazing job.
Thank you, sweetheart.
An amazing job.
So, is there anything you want to add? Anything you feel we haven't covered?
I think just because most of your viewers are female, just to encourage women to stand up for themselves, to believe in themselves, to push themselves. The sky really is the limit. Grow. If in every few years you don't try to do something out of the norm and expand, then you're not fulfilling your potential. You're not realizing it.
Absolutely.
And we should not be defined by others. Yeah? Create your space.
Yeah.
Define yourself and what your dream is.
Yes.
And then pursue it. The road is never smooth. It always has
all sorts of ups and downs and
turns
and potholes.
And somebody was saying, it's like you climb a hill and maybe you're trying to exercise and you come down the hill and you think, oh my God, great, I have finally conquered this. And then you get there and you realize, oops, there's actually, after that depression, there's another hill.
Yeah,
just
or a river.
Or another obstacle.
Yeah.
Keep on climbing.
Yeah.
Maneuver, get through it, don't be discouraged again. Don't let other people define who you are and what your dream should be. And people also think that, when they see, the success you are, they think that everything
just falls on my lap.
Just happens.
Absolutely
there are some whose lives have perhaps, been like that. That is certainly not my experience.
Well, no, even the silver platter
they have challenges
born
too.
ones are struggling. They struggle with something. So
they have challenges too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I wish people would be more candid and more honest.
I always say that, and after I talk a lot on panels and giving speeches around the world,
right.
And whenever I come off the stage, I'm always told by at least 3 people, wow, you're so real,
honest.
You're so honest, thank you so much.
Candid.
Thank you.
And refreshing.
Yeah, as opposed to, oh no, entrepreneurship is great.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone should go. Yeah. Or, the beauty industry is perfect and it's so easy. No, none of the above.
Yeah. And whatever it is, whether it's beauty, whether it's whatever path, I don't know of one single person, and I'm fortunate enough to be, surrounded by
a lot
fairly intriguing, interesting, successful people.
Yes.
But I can tell you that none of them have had it
easy.
have had it easy, and in fact, their challenges have been an asset. You know, if you've never felt the pain of loss,
You don't know what
Exactly.
it is
exactly,
to gain.
you then treasure that next step
Yes.
and its success a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when we begin to appreciate that, and instead of combating the world, we live in harmony with it, then it makes life in general a lot smoother,
a lot
and
easier. It makes the roller coasters a lot less hilly
Exactly.
and valley-ish.
Exactly.
Yeah, even if they'll be there, but it's
Yeah.
not as
Yeah.
horrible.
It's just about staying positive and just keeping focused.
Absolutely.
Keeping focused.
Thank you, my darling.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Thank you for coming, and come to Korea. Come and visit us.
I am absolutely.
Yeah.
And because also like more stages that I need to pursue
Yes.
involve that.
Yes. Yes.
So I will be, when you're saying we need to come and
I'm holding
adventure
you to
out
it.
there,
Holding you to it.
I'm doing it.
Bring it home.
Awesome.
Bring it home.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
And there we conclude another amazing episode of the Suzie Wokabi podcast with the most incredible guest, Ambassador Mwende Mwinzi, my very good friend.
So silly. So silly.
Bye, guys.